Well, are you winding down with work? Here's the weird part. Look at a tall back straight, Danny Stage. All right, so thanks everybody for coming. We've got maybe a few words here we'd like to say for Dad as we were starting to plan what to say and how to talk. I've set my goal. I want to be half as good as E. Nort was at the PHS graduation a couple of weeks ago. So if anybody was lucky enough to see Emma talk there, Emma, Jock was part of your mosaic, and hopefully he's part of yours. Now, as we planned, we kept joking that we're like, well, it could be 20 people or it could be 2,000 people, which makes it a hard party to plan for. But as we were like, how do we get a count? We're like, Dad had so many contacts, had so many colleagues, had so many clients he loved. He literally, as he was on his deathbed, was telling me about exhibitors that he loved. But for the last couple years, we've joked with him that he only really has one friend. And that's Roger Marshall, who I don't even see here. So the next person who sees Roger Marshall say he had one friend who had to come to his memorial and didn't come. So, in case you're like, gee, Scott's pretty casually dressed for a memorial, Dad did leave us strict instructions. And as he's apt to do, he didn't give any consideration to what was appropriate or realistic. So we're not on the deck of the Newport Yacht Club, as you can tell. But he did say, I want sturdy orange tables and as much orange and bright colors as we can get. So hence the running shirt instead of properly dressed. And then he also said, I want 3 5-minute eulogies, strictly timed. This doesn't count in my 5, by the way. 3 5-minute eulogies from myself, Tuck, and Kara. So we've got that coming. And his other directive, of course, was I want it to be as humor-focused as possible. So we'll see how we go, and you can grade us at the end as to who wins. But before we get to the comedy show, the eulogy, I did think it would be nice to maybe have a moment of silence for Dad. And I'll set that up by saying, Dad loved his church, but was strangely not very religious. But I always thought of him as a pretty spiritual guy, and I know he believed in God and he would talk about it. And so if that's your thing and you wanted to say a prayer for Jock, I'm sure that would be great. But if you're on the comedy side and you just want to think about the funniest story that you had with Jock, as long as Billy promises not to think about Tucker's bachelor party, we'll be all right. So let's do that. Let's have a moment of silence for Jock.
Getting married to your grandmother.
Cool.
It certainly was the smartest day of my life.
Come to 318.
So we did this thing a couple years ago where we recorded a family podcast, and as Dad was going downhill over the last couple months, I've been a little obsessed with it and listening to it. I'm like, oh, I bet I can figure out how to get a couple clips to hear his voice today. So that was just a little taste there. So I think it's eulogy time. And when we were planning this, Kara said, I'm first, because I think she wants to set a really high bar. So now let me pass the mic. What's up?
His favorite daughter.
Favorite daughter.
All right, first of all, please feel free to back in and sit in the shade. It's hot. We were directed to do only 5 minutes, but according to Tucker, it might go a little longer. So sit in the shade. If you want to get in the shade, don't worry. Back away, step, whatever you need to do. To be clear, I demanded going first only because I'm not willing to follow these clowns. I'm only comfortable being the opener. So that's why I wanted first. As most of you guys probably know, my dad was a man of strong opinions, and he wasn't afraid to let you know what they were. Dogs. Big and quiet, good. Small and yappy, bad. He called them shark bait, ankle biters, anything but a dog. Omelets, good. Bacon, good. Me substituting white meat for red meat and chili, bad. Kids and grandkids swearing, bad. Really fucking bad. family restaurant experience was either the best meal ever or the worst meal ever. There was no in between. Socks, bad. Precision, good. As you know, as Scott mentioned, we had precise directives on this service. And I quote, "There should be a sturdy, round table draped in orange. With my 12-inch urn, the last trap, centered on the table, with no more than two 11 by 14 pictures of me and immediate family only." No time was general. It was always, "I'll pick you up at 4:37 p.m. Be ready." The only generalities came when he was spinning stories. If it was a good story, multiply it by 2. If it was a bad story, divide it by 2. Family, good. One of my favorite Magic of Jock stories or Family Man stories came from when I was in middle school. A dark time for anyone in middle school. I tagged along on a business trip to California. We took a day to go to Universal Studios. We were waiting in line for the Back to the Future ride, and a Universal Studios employee tapped him on the shoulder and pulled him away and said, "I promise I'll bring him back eventually." I was a little afraid that he was in trouble for something. Maybe he touched something he wasn't supposed to touch, and they were taking him to Universal jail to do something with him. I was 12 or 13. I was alone in a theme park in another state. I trusted the situation and rode the whole thing by myself. And at the very end of the ride, they reenacted the clock tower scene with Doc Brown like connecting the circuit and sending the DeLorean back to the future. Who was up on top of the clock tower in an Einstein wig? I'm sure you can imagine it. As you read in the obituary, grandfather was his favorite job. Let's talk about that for a minute. When Linda was pregnant with Hannah, the first grandchild, we looked at Mom and said, "What do you want to be called?" And in true Klockner fashion, she said, "Well, I guess Mom." And we looked at Dad and said, "What do you want to be called?" And he said, "Anything but Pop-Up." In true West fashion, Pop-Up it was. Until it evolved into Phoebes, thanks to Ella, and he's been Phoebes ever since. Nicknames, good. Elevated customer service, good. We've been thinking a lot lately about what a good guy Dad was. And I'm sorry, Dad, that it's taken me so long to spend time thinking about what a good guy you were. A few nights ago, around the fire, my mom said, "I've just realized I've been treated like a customer for my whole marriage." If you know what my dad thought, or how my dad thought a customer should be treated, you know that that's the secret to a long and lasting marriage. And it's also why I've married Jock 2.0. I could keep going. There's a lot more good than there is bad, but I will pass it on to my brothers.
All right, we're gonna try to take this slow, but I may break the 5-minute mark. And before you start the timer, I have a few thank yous and disclaimers that I'd like to make now because I'm not sure I'll be able to make them at the end. First off, my family, my extended family, Scott's family, Kara's family, mom, aunts, uncles, going through this process with you guys, as miserable as it is, we managed to do it together as a team, and that means a tremendous amount to me, and I thank you all for your support. That's grandkids and everyone. You guys know who you are. Mom, stand up. Stop hiding for a second. Does everyone know this old lady? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so she's the one that has survived 58 years in this relationship.
Free at last!
And, you know, we had 2 numbers to call. It was either hospice or Vinny out of South Boston, but someone was getting called soon. So, anyway, Dad wanted this to be funny. This could be one of those talks where you look at your spouse and you look around and go, "What did he just say?" Or, "Did he really just say that?" So go with it. Jocko would appreciate it. It all comes from deep down in the heart. Lo, you can start the top 5-minute timer now, and I need a 1-minute warning, please. Okay, so I get asked all the time, what's my dad's real name? I do not know my dad's real name. Okay? My dad legally changed. Tom Orr is here. He's represented that. Anyway, he legally changed his name in high school to Jock. I'm not sure he's done anything legally in his life, but I don't know that. So it's Charles Arthur, but every time we go to the airport, there's some mix-up between the passport and the driver's license. I also say this, I am not a junior, but my first name is Jock. And that brings me to a quick story of when our baby girl was fighting out in Seattle, and Jocko came to live with us for, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month, all summer. And he goes, isn't it great that we have the same name as I'm handing him my credit card? And for those that truly know Jock, it's a win for him, and it's a high risk for me. So when Jocko was out there, this goes into story number 1. You know, he was gracious enough to pretty much help Lee raised the boys when we were struggling and I was trying to work. So he would get an allowance. I think it was at the time it was $250 a day, pretty much for whatever stupid stuff you can buy for a 6-7-year-old or Logan occasionally, and then he had a credit card in case of an emergency. So he'd get topped off every week, you know, just like you taught us growing up. I go, Dad, the only thing I ask is if you use the credit card for something, just let me know. So we get away for a weekend. We come back and he goes, Tuck, I owe you some money. And I'm sitting there going, okay. I go, how much, how deep? How much are we talking? He goes, $250. So we can breathe, all right? At that stage of the game, we could breathe. And I go, but that, what for? He goes, I got some ink. And he's 70. He's 70. You got some ink? He goes, yeah. I was driving around. I hit a couple ink shots, and I got this big ass swordfish that I designed on his leg. What was it?
Marlin.
Excuse me, marlin. Swordfish. I'm not into fishing. I'm slow boats. I'm walking in saying, what do I say to my dad? Or what do I say to my kids? Excuse me. How do I say? So I finally get in and I go, what are you going to tell Mom? She goes, you're not going to see it. So then I'm like, well, you guys aren't hooking up anymore? Come on, Dad. So, anywho, I said to my kids, I go, when you're 65 or 70 or however old at that time is, you can do whatever the heck you want with your body. So, anyway, to finish up just on tattoos, you see the whale. Jocko had the whale. He was the best salesman in the world because he talked my mom into getting a tattoo and riding a motorcycle. And there were also a handful of grandkids that have inked up in honor of Jock, and some daughter-in-laws on behalf of Jock. So that's pretty exciting. So let's get moving on with the speech. How am I doing on time, Lo?
Good hours.
Okay.
Still couldn't let the last like 7 or 8 go. Although Mr. Like his dad was like, I'll keep a few models. Why buy one antique box when you can try to buy every antique box and then at age 78 open your own Etsy store to sell those boxes? Customer number 1, Michelle Drum's here somewhere. There's a few box buyers out there. Why buy a drone and just take drone photos when you can try to start a company that makes floating waterproof drones? There's even a exhibitor badge with the name on it, even though I don't think that company was ever officially in business. And then one of my favorite last ones, which is right in the center if you can see it. Why die and get cremated and be put in some nondescript urn when you can 3D print a 12-inch lobster boat? Make a friend with a guy named Shane Richards who might be here and say, Shane, detail this thing up exactly how I want it. I want last trap on the transom. It was already on there, and we went to get it the day Dad passed, and it wasn't. We were fully panicked. It wasn't there where it was supposed to be. And then we found out. I texted Shane. He goes, no, I got it. He wanted a few last changes. So he gets to spend eternity in the boat of his dreams, and the urn that he designed and made a few friends, and tried to start that business up as well. So yeah, he had a way. He had a way of getting enthusiastic about what he wanted to do and whoever's idea it was. So I've just got two last examples. These are a little more personal, but they just underline the enthusiasm card for me. Fall of '98, I remember Linda and I living in Annapolis and calling Mom and Dad, telling them we're pregnant with Hannah, and shit, I can't do this one. And he goes, all right! And you could taste the enthusiasm in Annapolis all the way from Portsmouth. He just had a way of making you feel so good when he was behind your ideas. He was so excited. And my last one's going to be familiar to a lot of, and I thought Tuck was going to steal my thunder, but he just got close. A lot of the rink rats. And I'm going to ask my family to help me with this, to give us the reminder cheer, please. Go Whalers! Go Whalers. I can tell you, I remember clearly being in 6th grade in school, and my friends I played hockey with were like, there's nothing better than listening to your dad scream from the sidelines of the rink. It's so funny, go Whalers! Which is probably not even warranting a story here, except like 30 years later, we find ourselves on the bench, we're in the middle of the game, and as Tuck says, Jock's still there on the side going, go Whalers! And I look down and I see the Hum boys next to Ben going, there's nothing funnier than listening to your dad scream from the sidelines of the rink. So that's how I'm going to close it. I'm going to ask everybody here, let's just have one, maybe two last Go Whalers from everybody on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Go Whalers!
One more time. 1, 2, 3.
Go Whalers!
Thank you. Go forth with enthusiasm, everybody, and a little extra enthusiasm for Jock. Thanks so much for coming, everybody.